In 1845, two of Britain's most advanced ships set sail with 129 men, led by Sir John Franklin, engineered for survival, tasked to find the fabled Northwest Passage, and provisioned for years at sea. By summer's end, they were last glimpsed in the Arctic, only to vanish, leaving behind no answers, only haunting silence. How could a mission so carefully planned disappear at the edge of the world? The true story is stranger and more enduring than legend. If you are drawn to unraveling history's greatest enigmas, subscribe for more journeys into the unknown and share your theory below as we begin. Britain's Admiralty placed its faith in the Franklin expedition for good reason. The mission was more than a quest for glory. It was a calculated push to complete the Northwest Passage, a sea route that had eluded explorers for centuries. HMS Erebus and HMS Terror represented the height of naval engineering in 1845. Their hulls, originally built to withstand the shock of heavy mortars, were further reinforced with iron plating to face the Arctic ice. Each ship carried a steam engine, an innovation for the time, capable of driving a screw propeller when the wind failed or the pack ice closed in. These engines, repurposed from railway technology, offered up to 40 horsepower, enough to edge the ships forward through leads in the ice, though they relied mostly on sail for open water. The expedition's leadership was equally formidable. Sir John Franklin, a seasoned Arctic veteran, took command of the Erebus, while Captain Francis Crozier, with years of polar experience behind him, helmed the Terror. James Fitzjames, Erebus's second-in-command, brought energy and ambition to the officer corps. Their combined expertise inspired confidence at home and among the 129 men who made up the crew. Sailors, marines, engineers, and scientists were selected for their skill and discipline, each aware of the risks, but buoyed by the promise of discovery. Supplies filled every hold, over 8,000 tins of preserved food, barrels of lemon juice to ward off scurvy, coal for the engines, and libraries of books for the long polar night. The ships departed Greenhithe, England, on May 19, 1845, with orders to chart the unknown and return within 3 years if possible. Behind them, they left a nation confident that science and determination would finally conquer the edge of the world. By late July 1845, the two ships had made their way across the North Atlantic and into the chill waters of Baffin Bay. Here, in the drifting fog and shifting ice, the last Europeans to ever see the expedition recorded their encounter. Whaling vessels Prince of Wales and Enterprise, homeward bound from their own Arctic season, crossed paths with Erebus and Terror. The whaler logs described the expedition at anchor, crews exchanging brief words and supplies, Franklin's men confident and in good health. The ships were waiting for the ice to clear in Lancaster Sound, the gateway to the Northwest Passage. Their hulls, dark against the summer ice, seemed ready for the challenge ahead. After that meeting, Erebus and Terror pressed westward. The last letters sent home from Greenland carried news of routine and high spirits, with officers describing daily hunting parties and the endless daylight of the Arctic summer. From the whalers' vantage, the expedition appeared orderly and prepared, their course plotted into the uncharted maze of islands and channels. No hint of the ordeal to come reached those who watched the sails recede into the mist. From this moment, certainty ends. No more messages arrived. No more ships returned. The Franklin expedition slipped beyond the edge of known waters, into a silence that would last for years. The world would only realize their disappearance slowly, as seasons passed and no news came back across the ice. By the late 1840s, the silence from Franklin's expedition had grown impossible to ignore. Britain's Admiralty, pressed by public anxiety and Lady Jane Franklin's tireless advocacy, launched a vast campaign to find answers. Over the next decade, more than 40 expeditions, naval and civilian, combed the Arctic, mapping thousands of miles of uncharted coast and enduring the same punishing cold and shifting ice that had swallowed Erebus and Terror. Among these searchers, Francis Leopold McClintock stands out. In 1857, he set out aboard the Fox, a small steam yacht, determined to unravel the fate of the lost crews. McClintock's sledging parties covered over 1,400 kilometers across King William Island and its frozen shores, guided in part by Inuit accounts of ships and men seen long after the expedition had vanished from European view. On May 5, 1859, Lieutenant William Hobson, leading one of McClintock's teams, discovered a stone cairn near Victory Point. Inside, they found a single sheet of paper, weather-stained but legible. It was the only written record ever recovered from the Franklin expedition. The note, calm in tone yet devastating in content, read, "Her Majesty's ships Erebus and Terror were deserted on the 22nd of April, 5 leagues north-northwest of this, having been beset since the 12th of September, 1846. Sir John Franklin died on the 11th of June, 1847. The message confirmed that after nearly 2 years trapped in the ice, the survivors, now just 105 men under Captain Crozier, had abandoned the ships and set out on foot for Baxfish River. This single document, tucked into a lonely cairn, provided the first hard evidence of what had happened. For the first time, the world learned that Franklin was dead, the ships had been deserted, and a desperate march south had begun. The discovery of the Victory Point note transformed the search from hope of rescue to a quest for understanding, and it remains the most vital clue to the expedition's fate. Inuit families told stories for generations about 2 large ships trapped in the ice, their masts rising above the frozen sea. These stories, passed down through place names and memories, described locations where the ships were last seen and where men struggled across the land. For decades, searchers overlooked these accounts and relied instead on charts and theories. In the 21st century, a new partnership began to reshape the search for answers. Parks Canada, archaeologists working alongside Inuit knowledge holders from Nunavut, combined oral histories with the latest underwater technology. The search grids they mapped out drew directly from Inuit descriptions. Names like Utjulik and Utjulik pointed to places where elders recalled seeing wreckage or unusual activity. In 2014, after years of methodical sonar sweeps in the Queen Maud Gulf, the team located the wreck of HMS Erebus at precise coordinates: 68 degrees 13 minutes north, 98 degrees 52 minutes west. The ship rested in just 11 meters of water, remarkably intact, confirming details long preserved in Inuit testimony. 2 years later, in 2016, another breakthrough. A tip from a local hunter about a wooden mast seen through the ice led searchers to Terror Bay off King William Island. Using remotely operated vehicles, Parks Canada divers found HMS Terror in pristine condition, her hull preserved by the cold Arctic waters. The discovery came almost exactly where Netzelingmiut oral history had described a ship becoming trapped and sinking. These finds did more than solve a geographical puzzle. They established a model for collaborative stewardship, with Inuit and Parks Canada co-managing the wreck sites under formal agreements. Today, the Erebus and Terror are protected places, their stories safeguarded by both scientific investigation and the living memory of those whose ancestors witnessed the final chapter of the Franklin expedition. Arctic winters in the late 1840s brought conditions that few could survive. Ice core studies confirm that the years the Franklin expedition spent trapped off King William Island were among the most severe on record, with temperatures plunging far below freezing for months on end. The ships, locked in shifting pack ice, became prisons of cold and darkness. Fresh food ran out early, and the men relied on preserved rations that could not supply enough vitamin C. Signs of scurvy appear in the remains of those buried at Beechey Island: swollen joints, bleeding gums, and fragile bones. Tuberculosis and pneumonia likely spread in the cramped, damp quarters below decks. As the months dragged on, the crew's health steadily declined. Starvation, disease, and the relentless cold worked together, weakening even the strongest. These environmental and medical hardships stand at the center of every scientific account of the disaster. Laboratory analysis of the Franklin remains has revealed more questions than answers. For years, high levels of lead detected in hair and bone samples from Beechey Island and King William Island fueled the theory that lead poisoning, likely from tinned food solder or ship plumbing, played a major role in the crew's decline. Newer studies using advanced techniques such as inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry have found that while lead was present in significant amounts, the distribution of lead in bone suggests exposure may have been chronic rather than acute, and not all individuals were affected equally. The debate continues, with some researchers arguing that lead alone cannot explain the collapse of discipline and health. Another point of contention lies in the cut marks observed on some bones recovered from the island. Microscopic analysis has identified patterns consistent with post-mortem processing, but the interpretation remains unsettled. Some see evidence of desperate survival, while others caution that natural processes or animal activity could account for certain marks. These forensic puzzles remind us that even the best scientific tools cannot always provide certainty, and the final fate of Franklin's men remains partly hidden beneath layers of evidence and interpretation. There is a lasting sense of uncertainty. The Arctic still keeps its secrets, and the line between discovery and disappearance remains razor thin. Today, as new expeditions push into harsher frontiers, history reminds us nature answers ambition with silence. If you value stories like this, consider subscribing and share your thoughts or theories below.